Sylvia Neumann's last wish is to go out for just one more ride in the car. Frank Wenzlow wants to make her wish come true, as he's already done for so many terminally ill people.
Look, there's a lighthouse in the background.
One more trip to the beach, the movies, or back home. Frank Wenzlow calls them Sternenfahrten.
Our mission today is to pick up our passenger at the Laurentius Hospice in Gunnar.
Frank Wenzlow and his assistants are ready whenever a terminally ill person in northern Lower Saxony would like to go for a ride. The tours are free of charge. The staff volunteers. He has his own specially fitted ambulances. They call the tours Sternenfahrten, or Make-A-Wish trips. Today, Wenzlow and his team are picking up someone very special. The woman is the daughter of his first passenger from 6 years ago. This trip isn't easy for Wenzlow.
Since then, we've always kept in touch. That's why, for me, this story goes relatively close to the bone.
Sylvia Neumann has been in hospice for a few weeks. The 55-year-old is in the final stages of terminal cancer. The doctors say her tumor is inoperable because it's located just behind her spine. Today, she would like to return together with her son and his fiancée to the town where Sylvia grew up with her grandparents. Frank Wenzlow has organized the trip.
If you've passed the happiest time in your life someplace, then it's just nice to be back there again. And to be quiet. Just to breathe. To feel.
We'll manage, won't we?
Sylvia Neumann doesn't want to go far. The town is only half an hour away. Wenzlow trains paramedics for a living. He tries to fulfill his passengers' each and every wish. He's even driven all the way to North Cape with them, or gone to rock concerts. Sylvia Neumann is unable to travel far. Before they set off, she was given morphine for severe pain.
I can put this underneath. How does that feel?
Yes, that's fine. It helps with the pressure up here.
Wenzlow and his colleagues head out up to 2 times a week. Some of the passengers regret their choice because once they've seen what they're leaving, saying goodbye is too hard for them to bear.
We've got to take it as it comes, and then you can handle things quite well, right? That's just the way our lives are. There are things we just can't fend off.
I'll just keep on going.
I certainly hope so.
They arrive in her hometown, Berne.
Yes, here it's just the way it was back then.
Sylvia's chosen the church as her first stop. The attendants must roll the stretcher carefully over the cobbles. Every bump is painful for the terminally ill woman. Sylvia went to church here when she was a little girl. Later on, she didn't go very often. But on this day, the memory of the services, prayers, and hymns is somehow comforting.
Yes, I've decided that I'd like to be buried here as well. How fitting.
Sylvia wants to take one more stroll around the cemetery with her son. This will be her resting place. For many relatives, a last journey like this is even tougher to bear than it is for the dying person themselves. Sylvia Neumann's son wants to get married in a week and hopes his mother will still be there to see it. At first, he says he feared the emotional stress of a trip like this, but now he's happy he's here.
Now I can see what this is doing for her and how valuable these moments are. And that in the next days, or maybe weeks, however much time she's got left, she'll draw strength from it. That's important and beautiful.
The trip continues on a ferry across the Weser River. For Sylvia, it's another childhood memory. She wants to see the waters of this mighty river one more time. Frank Wenzlow reserved a special place with a view for her.
Look, there's a lighthouse in the background. Let's smell the water again.
In the middle of the waterway, the ferry's captain turns the boat around a few extra times so Sylvia Neumann gets the most of the view.
You'll really get to see something. Thanks again. Thanks very much.
It's time for the last part of the tour. Sylvia Neumann was happier living with her grandparents than her parents. That's why she wants to take a little stroll around the house where her grandparents once lived.
This was Grandma and Grandpa's house. Grandpa always said when the house is finished, the man dies, and that's just what happened.
She'd like to take one more look inside, but the people who live there now aren't at home.
That's the way it is.
And they go for another walk around the neighborhood. They had to push the stretcher along the narrow main street. Wenzlow fulfilled this wish as well. What are Sylvia's thoughts on the coming days?
Pretty relaxed, I think. I was back here again, and that's really beautiful. And I will look at the pictures again. But there's something more to it, internalized or deeper.
The tour takes 4 hours. Then it's time to go back to the hospice. Frank Wenzlow hasn't counted how many last wishes he's made reality. He says his guests shouldn't be reduced to numbers or statistics. Then it's time to say farewell to the passenger. And like every time, it's goodbye for good, even for the young volunteers who go along on the journeys. Few of their friends understand why they would want to spend their free time looking mortality in the eye.
Lots of people say, hats off to you, I couldn't do that. That's when I say nonsense. We've got all sorts of people volunteering here, and they're not all working jobs that deal with death. And nevertheless, we still manage it. And I think anyone can do it. You just have to give yourself a little push and say, I'm going to do it.
But doing it, even after 6 years, Frank Wenzlow says is still hard.
I just said goodbye, and I said, if we don't see each other here anymore, then someplace else. What else can you say?
We're back outside the association's headquarters. Donations and fees from first aid courses that Frank Wenzlow and his colleagues offer pay for everything here. The ambulance is being readied for its next trip. From the time a last wish tour is booked, every day counts.
We often have the problem that the person who's booked the tour is in such a rough state that they die during the planning phase. Another thing that happens often is that we're set to go, I's dotted and T's crossed, and the passenger is told that the tour is happening. And with that positive thought in mind, he falls asleep and doesn't wake up again.
All the association's vehicles bear the name of Wenzlow's late wife, Lisbeth. 6 years ago, when she was dying of cancer, she wanted to make one more drive to the North Sea. But Wenzlow couldn't find an organization that could fulfill this last wish for her because health insurers wouldn't pay for it.
When you get down to it, when our fellow human beings at what is truly the very end aren't able to send the dying off with a last bit of humanity and kindness, if we don't honour that for purely financial reasons, then there's something wrong. That was the last straw.
After his experience, Wenzlow founded his own taxi service for the terminally ill. He regularly invents new things to help passengers get the most of the trip. The mudflat mobile, for example.
This is designed for people who don't have to lie down during their tour. It enables them to travel across tidal flats and through the water, so they can dip their feet in once again. That only works because of this build and the balloon tires.
Since then, many people have imitated Wenzlow's concept of helping the terminally ill go out for just one last spin. The 59-year-old, however, is turning the operation over to his son, bit by bit. But the name Sternenfahrt will always be connected to Wenzlow, his very own story, and Sterne, the German word for star.
On the night my wife died, I was standing out in the yard smoking my favorite cigar and looking up into the sky. Suddenly, the lady from the couple next door, close friends, was standing next to me. She looked at me and said, "Frank, now there's a star up there shining for you too. Liz is up there for you now." And just like that, it came to me that we often think of death in relation to the stars. They say they're shining up above now for those left behind, for posterity. And that's why the concept Sternenfahrten just came to me out of the blue.